Meeple Talk! Hello everyone, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Adam.
And welcome to Meeple Talk. So this time we're going to be talking about Takenoko Chibis. You may remember from a previous review that we've done, Takenoko was a board game based on, well, it's a tile placing game, based on the ideas that you have a farmer, a panda, and different objectives that you had to meet. Originally, every player had a variety of objective cards, whether they were for the purpose of planting bamboo plots in a certain configuration, whether it was to grow bamboo up to a certain height, or as a panda, going to the different plots and eating the bamboo. So Takenoko Chibis is an expansion that was developed in late 2015 and built upon the original premise of the game. So in the original pack, or in this new pack, tell them what they win.
Yes, this is what you win. All this stuff here. So, yes, basically what they give you are 6 new hex tiles, and they all have unique abilities, which we will explain later. You also get, in addition to in the original game, you got the panda and the gardener. You also get this little Miss Panda, and then
she's quite pretty.
Yes, indeed. This game is all about cuteness. If you don't like cuteness, run away. And so you also get these 9 little panda babies. They're called Chibis in Japan, I guess. And they're all of 3 different colors. And then you have 6 different objective cards of 3 different colors, matching the 3 different colors that you get in the base game.
Sure.
So tell us what those hex tiles do.
I would love to, Adam. Okay, so there's 6 different ones. The first 3 are all unique and similar in the same time. So these are new plot cards representing the different bamboo colors. Now, why they have a little figurine on here, I'm not really sure what they call him. He's almost like this a magical, whimsical figure, in a sense, bringing the magical growing winds to the lands. In the original game, anytime a farmer has landed on a particular plot, not only would he grow bamboo of that color type, of that one he was on, but also next nearby, the same adjacent color tiles would also grow a piece of bamboo. With these magical tiles, when they're placed and the farmer lands on it and grows, throughout the whole board, any other tile of the same bamboo color that's irrigated will also grow. So in this case, these yellow ones, assuming this one was also irrigated, these would grow as well. And also, in addition, one of the types of pond tiles is a new watering, a pond tile. In the original game, you had a central pond tile from which all waterways then stemmed from. So they give you an extra one, which then immediately irrigates all the immediate plots around it, and a new waterways can stem from. This one's interesting as well. This is a new type of bamboo tile. It's like, almost like a wild card. It has all 3 colors, represented on it. And when this one's placed, it has a couple of neat benefits. So what happens is that when the gardener, I know I keep saying farmer, but he's a gardener, when he lands on it, I'll just move this over the way. When he lands on it, all 3 colors of bamboo will start to grow. And if he is on a plot next to it, the matching color of the one beside it will then start to grow as well. The other neat thing about this particular pond tile, or sorry, it's not a pond tile, a bamboo tile, is that at any given point, it can represent any of the colors of bamboo if you have your objective card that talks about which configurations you want to make up. And it can do so at multiple, like different ones at different times. So you can have one configuration that requires it to be green, another configuration that requires it to be yellow or pink, and it can equal any one of those for the purpose of satisfying those objectives. The last new tile that it gives, which I think is really interesting, is the gardener's shed. The way this one works is that anytime the gardener lands on this particular hex, what you can do is that you can actually draw the top cards of each of the objective piles, and you can review them and pick your favorite of the 3, which is really handy, especially as the board becomes developed and becomes expanded. You might find that sometimes drawing of these ones, you might not get one that's already can be satisfied right away. So it's a nice little advantage, especially as the game goes on. So those are generally the basic idea between the new the hex tiles. And one thing I forgot to mention. Every one of these new hex tiles has an icon here of the female panda. And I guess Adam's going to explain that part.
Yes. So the idea of these female pandas on these tiles is that Miss Panda is originally not in the game. She's sitting on the side, waiting to appear.
I want to play.
And then when the first of these tiles appears with her picture on it, she immediately appears on that tile. And then she's in the game. Now, if another hex tile is put down that also has her picture, she's immediately teleported, so to speak, to that area. Or maybe she rushes over there to see what's going on. Yes. So then, once she's in the game, she can be moved exactly in the same way, and with the same panda action for moving the panda, you can move her instead. And then, what she does, instead of eating bamboo like the regular panda does, she actually, if she moves to the same tile where he is, then they make panda babies. And that's where the, in Japanese, chibis come into play. So the way
how do they make those babies?
Well, first of all, you need to have a piece of bamboo, and you have to give that up rather than having him eat one. So you give that piece of bamboo up. In this case, it's green, and then you can choose one of the 3 panda babies that are green. And each panda baby of the 9, they all give you 2 victory points, so you immediately get 2 victory points, which is awesome. Well, that's counted at the end, basically. But also, on the back, they give you different options, things that you can get. So one of them is one of the irrigation wooden pieces. Another one allows you to switch out one of your existing objectives with one from the top of any one of these 3 piles, which is really cool. If you have one that, you can't do anything with it, that's a great way to switch it out. The third one gives you any one of your choice of the 3 improvements. So these are pretty powerful, and especially when you're in the game, maybe you have a handful of objectives, you don't know what to do with them, you can just make babies, and basically you're making victory points. So that's nice. Now, one thing to keep in mind is you cannot move the original panda to Miss Panda. Then he will just eat bamboo and ignore her, I guess. But when she moves to his tile, that's when you can make panda babies. So it adds a nice new dimension to the game. And then finally, yes. Okay. So,
and then the final component are the new objective cards. So as you may recall from the previous game, there are 3 sets. So there's one that involves the hexes. So you may have in the original one certain configurations that you have to make for certain colors. In the new expanded version, essentially it's the same idea, except they actually incorporate the new panda tiles. So you may have it needing to be surrounded by a certain color to obtain those.
Miss Panda tile in the center, yes.
Exactly. And then they also added some other ones that are more... it doesn't need a certain color combination in a specific order, but just any on the tiles that, for example, this one says that any 7 green bamboo plots that are irrigated will earn you victory points. This one is 6 of the yellow type, and they can be anywhere. They don't have to be adjacent to each other. When it comes to the panda ones, so these are all pretty much the same in the sense that there's 1 or 2 of certain colors or mix of colors, but there's an extra step he has to take to get those particular points. So even though it seems like a simple objective of needing only 1 color of a certain type, what he has to do, you'll notice that there are the pond tile icons on the upper corner. And so when he eats a bamboo of that particular type, or if there's 2 of a particular type that needs to be done, not only does he have to eat those particular bamboo, but he has to then end up a turn on one of the pond tiles in order to finally claim those particular points for those. Now, lastly, the gardener tokens, or cards, they're a little bit longer for some of them. So, for example, this one represents any 3 yellow bamboo tiles. They have to grow 1 bamboo of a height 4, 1 of a height 3, and 1 of a height 2 in order to get those points. As well, because there's a lot more tiles out there, more colors. You may also have one where you need, for example, in this one, 5 different green bamboos of height 2 or more in order to achieve those particular points. And so those are the new objectives that you can then choose from.
Yeah, so that's basically everything in the expansion. As to how it adds to the game and what it's like, I personally feel that the base game, I would say, after you've played it a few times, there seems to be not enough to do, and sometimes, maybe even often, you have a bunch of objective cards and you don't really know what to do with them, and it will take a long time to, basically, to fulfill them, so you want to get rid of them, and you can't really do that very easily. But what this expansion does is it opens up the game in a lot of ways. Number one, if you can't really do anything, well, you can make babies. That's not very hard at all. And until they run out, basically, because there's only 9, right? But that's a great strategy even to get as many panda babies as you can, because you're just basically making victory points. So that's nice. And then all of the hex tiles, I think, because they're all unique, and when they come out, you're like, ooh, some new things you can play with, right? They give you a lot of options, growing more bamboo, hex tiles counting for different colors. I think it really adds a bigger dimension to the game. It does make it a fuller game. I think it's much more interesting to play, and I really like it. And I think it definitely, falls into the theme really well. They did a really good job with it. The only thing I would say is it would have been nice. I know it would be more expensive, but it would have been nice if the panda babies were like little figurines like this. And if they came out with a little expansion pack that was just 9 panda babies, I would buy it. Because I think they're cool.
Take notes.
Yes.
Exactly. And what I was going to say about how the game changes, in our previous review, we did have, I guess as a bit of a detractor, was how the objective cards scored their points relative to the level of difficulty of the specific objective in question. And we found that for a while, players may have tended towards one type of objective versus another because of that. I think in this expansion, they did a really good job of rebalancing that out. And I found that we took advantage of all the different objective types more often. So it became a more well-rounded game. The other thing, too, I guess, when it comes to maybe how this version is a bit of a detractor, I guess, because the baby pandas allowed you to get a land improvement either earlier on or without having to rely on a die roll like in the previous version did. These got used up more quickly. So after a while, the die roll that resulted in a cloud became of no use. So it was almost like an empty dead play. I really think that the improvements to the game with the expansion outweigh these minors. And so overall, I think it's a more well-rounded, it's a more full game than the previous version. So if you liked Takenoko, or if you were kind of sitting on the fence for Takenoko before, I would say do that in combinations with the Chibi expansion. I do believe it enhances it a lot. So
yeah, I definitely think it's another expansion where you'll probably always play with the Chibi expansion because the game is cooler. I don't know if it's that much shorter without it, so I don't even think that's a negative. So that's our review. I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you later.
So much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.